I have nothing to say to the mayor of LA at 7 o'clock in the morning. I have no retort for the king of New York. It's late and I feel so forlorn.
You know, I lived in Auckland for a little while as a kid, just 6 months.
That's long enough. No, I love it here actually.
I lived in Herne Bay.
In Herne Bay. Okay, yeah,
It was very nice. In fact, the last time I went there, I got an Airbnb in Herne Bay. I was like, I have to go back and.
That was when you guys played at the Tuning Fork, was it?
Yes, that's right.
That was a good show. I was there. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. I'm Marty, and yeah, I'm up here at the top. We're all locked down here in Auckland, so
I know.
It's very strange. It's very quiet out there.
Yeah. Yes, we didn't really. It didn't. I mean, Los Angeles got the highways emptied out. It was nice, but
yeah, I can imagine.
We didn't have that quite that same eerie feeling that New York got, or Paris, or Auckland.
And then now everybody's kind of getting antsy because we thought we had beat it a long time ago, and then we went into lockdown 2 months ago, and we thought, oh, it's going to be a couple of weeks and we'll be fine. And it's been 2 months, and it's just going on, and people are getting irate and annoyed, and it's getting ugly. So hopefully it'll sort itself out soon. But there you go. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for doing this. And I ran across the new album, and I was like, oh man, and I love it. So it's very cool.
I'm very happy with it too.
Excellent. So it's
kind of always come out thinking like, oh, that's all right, I made a really good record. But this time I did think that right when we left the studio. We left the studio with 8 songs, but I felt good about them. I had the words all written, which was a good feeling. Sometimes you're in the studio just in a panic, scrambling, trying to write lyrics, but I felt good. I demoed them, and which helps when you come to sing them. If you,
you got to imagine.
Well, no, just that you know what you're doing, instead of like sometimes you sing a line and you're like, oh no, that looked okay on paper, but I'm not going to say that. But
yeah. Well, that's cool. Very good. And my understanding is these are like the first new songs you've written in quite a while. So what happened?
Well, you know, I came out here to Los Angeles, and I don't know. So that's one excuse, is the weather.
Okay. All right.
Nice. The weather is so nice that it rots writers' brains and leaves them only fit to write screenplays.
Fair enough. That explains a lot.
No, it should. You know, we were busy. Britt and I did a film score when we got out here, and I have made records, just it's been covered and done a lot of touring, and maybe, you know. No one's really paying me to write songs. I'm on my own label, so it's
a motivation is key.
Yeah. So it has to come from within. Yeah, because it used to be, you know, with Luda, we were signed to a multi-record deal, and so as soon as we're finished touring, everyone in the band's like, "Well, we need to make another record so that we can get paid."
Yeah.
Always that impetus to get into the studio, which is a mixed bag. I think sometimes it forces you to make records before you're ready to do it.
Yep. Speaking of Luna, before we get into your album, I did speak to Justin about the cover you guys did of Marquee Moon last year.
Oh yeah, that was Justin's idea.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so he's out of Piha.
At first he said, do you want to do Marquee Moon? I thought he meant the whole album. I was like, are you nuts? But then just the one song, and I still thought, are you nuts?
I remember how the darkness stumbled. I recall lightning struck itself.
It's quite long, and really we wound up doing it tackling that almost as you would like tackle like a sonata by Beethoven, and like sort of note for note, and like, well, we can't, like, because it feels like it's written that way. It's not a random guitar. It's just the whole thing is.
It's so a composition.
Yeah, it's a composition. So I think Lee did the drum track, then Justin put the bass down, then Sean did the sort of the heavy lifting. He played most of the guitars, and then I played some. I played some some extra riffs and atmospheric stuff, and I sang it, which was difficult too, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's actually, I talked to Tom Verlaine about this. I'm like, it's very high. And he said, "Oh yeah, we drop that song down a key now when we do it live."
I'm sure they do.
Even so, I can't. He's got a very strange voice, and I think that's part of what made that band so great. And
yeah,
everybody will always talk about the guitar playing, which of course is fantastic.
Yep.
But if it wasn't for that sort of weird voice, it would really, that would sound like a lot of other
it's almost otherworldly the way he.
Yes. Anyway, so I couldn't do that. I was just like, I can't sing it like it's felt like I'd be impersonating Woody Allen or Bob Dylan but I managed to talk my way through it. It just took a while to get into it.
Now, one of the cool things about lockdown and COVID is that all the musicians are around, and I'm talking to lots of people all over the world. And I got to say that Galaxie 500 comes up in conversation quite a bit.
Is that right?
Yeah, especially among the youngsters. They very influential, apparently. I was just wondering if you were aware of that.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of it. Yeah, the Galaxie 500 is bigger than ever. I guess I sort of became aware of it when my son was a teenager in high school, and kids would come up to him like, "Wow, you dancing Galaxie 500," which is nice. It's nice to think that people are still listening to the records 30 years later.
Yep. So now this new record, I have nothing to say to the mayor of LA. I've assumed you've answered plenty of questions specifically about the mayor of LA, so we'll pass over that. But tell me about, I think it was recorded last November. So whereabouts and how? What was the vibe like in the studio?
We went up, it was November of 2020. We're in a studio on Stinson Beach, which is just north of San Francisco. It's this beautiful beach. It's sort of like a hippie enclave in the 60s.
Right.
Continue to have a bit of that vibe, only it's gotten a lot more expensive, as you can imagine. So that was kind of, I guess the height of, it was like was it the second or third wave of the pandemic? I can't remember. Getting there was a bit of an ordeal, just because all the places you usually stop to use the toilet or get a hamburger, they were just like packed, or like their bathrooms were shut because like gas stations were just like, we don't even want to deal with this.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, once we got there, it was lovely. It was it's a studio in a house sitting up on a hill overlooking the beach.
Very nice.
Had a week there with Jason Queever producing. He has a band called Paper Cuts.
Right, and he does quite a bit of playing on the record as well, right?
Yes, he does. And then we came home, and we were going to meet up again, but we sort of went into, it wasn't total lockdown, but we were pretty much told stay home. So
yeah.
So I did some recording at home with Britta Engineering. She's a better engineer than my wife, Britta.
Yes.
And then we sent it off to Jason, and he mixed. So it was sort of some of it was a little, back and forth.
And do you? Is it different working like that? Does
it's you know what? It's actually good to. It's actually, I like playing guitar solos at home because you really can take the time to figure it out and do it without feeling like four other people are sitting around going, "Come on, what's going on here?"
Well, I must say, speaking of guitar solos, I love the guitar in the Cashing In song. I think it's
yes,
highlight of the record again.
Yeah, that was something else I bought last year. I bought this Peter Hook signature 6-string bass.
I just read his latest book about New Order.
I'm reading that too. So it's the hooky bass, because if you look at videos of early New Order, there's all kinds of things that I always assumed was being played by Bernard on the guitar, but it's actually not. It's being played by Peter Hook on this 6-string bass up really high.
Yeah.
So now this company Eastwood has made a replica of his bass. I think it's doing quite well.
Uh-huh.
I know I put, at least I got the money's worth out of it by using it on that one song, nothing else.
So is that what we think is the guitar solo?
Well, yeah, it is.
That's very cool.
Section, all of that is, it's a 6-string bass, the high strings on a 6-string bass.
And I see you made a video for the song, and there's a lot of stuff going on lyrically. So tell me a little bit more about it, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah. Let me see. Cashing In. It's it's sort of like a wry song about my years in the rock business. I was sitting in Tompkins Square Park probably about 10 years ago with this with Richard Kern, this filmmaker, and I jokingly said about someone, oh, he's selling out. Richard Kern was, because he'd sold all his archive to a university. And Kern, like, he's not selling out, he's cashing in. There you go. That's a good line. If I could write a song about that. It took me a long time.
Well, it seems to be a thing that, I mean, like Bob Dylan just cashed in, I guess, or sold out, and all these legacy artists are kind of collecting they're selling their catalogs off. So
there's something going on. There's something going on in the music business, and I don't even quite understand it right now. But all of a sudden, these companies, the companies that were struggling, they've got so much. They're valued at so much. Warner Music is valued at $19 billion. Universal at $30 billion. These catalogs, songwriting, publishing catalogs, are selling for huge amounts of money. So they're flush with cash. It's quite different from how it was 5 or 10 years ago. No, I mean, not different for me. I'm not seeing any of that cash.
Well, that's kind of the thing, though. I mean, most musicians say the same thing. They're not getting any of it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I do get some, because I know people like to spend a lot of time bashing Spotify.
Yep, I do.
But I mean, I use Spotify. We all use Spotify. Well, I guess not all of us, but
it's a convenience thing. That's all it is.
There's a convenience, and I make money on Spotify from Galaxie 500.
Oh, good.
Because we own this is the whole thing. If you own the masters, and they do well, then you're making some money. Yeah,
because I guess my biggest beef with Spotify is I know that they made most of their deals with the labels, and the labels didn't have agreements with the artists because Spotify wasn't even thought of when they signed their contracts. So they were kind of free to negotiate whatever they wanted to, and the artists are kind of left out in the cold.
As an artist, you signed a deal with that's like a 15% royalty rate that was based on physical sales. So that the record company had to do all this work to physically put your record in stores. They don't have to do any of that with Spotify except send them a file. So the 15% royalty rate is sort of it doesn't seem fair. But the point being, I think that the gripe should be often with the record label.
That's true. I mean,
I mean, you could go and stand outside any record shop and be like, "Where's my money? Where's my?" But
good luck with that. So to me, there seem to be a couple of themes running through the album. One that you kind of touched on was kind of thinking about being an older musician, possibly. And the other one, there's some political overtones throughout it, and some songs like.
I thought while I was slowly writing these songs over the course of 7 or 8 years, that it would be nice to get outside myself a little, and my life is only so interesting, it's I mean, I enjoy my life, but but I thought it'd be interesting to maybe write about a few other people, or try and tackle politics a little, with humor.
Yep.
I think it was important when you're writing a political song.
Well, Red Hollywood is a perfect example. So it's about John Garfield.
Red Hollywood,
Julie Garfinkel wouldn't play the game. Julie Garfinkel wouldn't name names.
Yeah, I thought in this era where everyone's going on and on about people being canceled for this and canceled for that, it's interesting to go back and look at the 1950s in America, where people really were canceled for their political beliefs and denied jobs in Hollywood under the the preposterous guise that communist screenwriters were infiltrating Hollywood films with subversive messages. It all sounds so silly today. But so I read Hollywood.
You say it sounds silly, but then when you kind of look at the big picture and like here, everybody's worried about the government is taking over because we're in lockdown, so there must be a conspiracy, and I'm not going to get a vax, and there's the Donald Trump thing. So yeah, I mean, it does sound silly in terms of that time and place, but it kind of makes sense overall because there are still people out there that are nuts, basically.
Yeah, I was reading the other. So that song's about John Garfield, the actor who drank himself to death, had a heart attack, the blacklisted actor. And there's another one about Eleanor Marx, Karl Marx's youngest daughter, and her suicide.
I fell in love with a communist cat, a free union. He drove me mad.
I was reading in the biography I read of her. She got the smallpox vaccine when she was born. And her mother got smallpox and was like really scarred for the rest of her life. But British Parliament mandated smallpox vaccine 1853. So when people are like, a vaccine mandate means we're drifting into fascism. I'm like, well, was England drifting into fascism in 1853 when they said that infants under 3 months should be vaccinated?
Yep.
And that is actually the birth of the anti-vaccine movement. Is that right? There were riots in the streets and people talking about this devilish vaccine.
Yeah. So what's the mood like in LA in general, politically? I mean, and I imagine the whole business of that shooting on that sound stage or the film set.
That is in the LA Times has had many stories about that. That sort of ties in with what was there was almost a strike a couple of weeks ago by the IATSE union that worked there, and they were arguing they wanted shorter hours. Because sometimes on a movie set you work 12, 13, 14 hours, and the people on that set were complaining that afterwards then they had to drive 50 miles.
So then they're just like,
which is dangerous because obviously that's when you're tired.
Oh yes.
The mood in Los Angeles, things are looking up here.
Okay.
I think, just in terms of getting out there and enjoying life again.
Cool. So in addition to your original tunes, there's a couple of covers on the record. There's a Scott Walker tune and a thing called Under Skies by some 60s psychedelic band called Lazy Smoke that I now have to find out all about.
Under skies, under skies, under skies.
So tell me about
I don't know that much about them, but a friend sent me this track. You can find it on YouTube. Look up Lazy Smoke Under Skies, and spelled SKYS though.
Okay.
A friend sent me a link and he's like, listen to this guitar solo. It sounds like you played it. And I was like, I listened to it. I'm like, you're right. It kind of does. It's funny. So they were a band from Boston, Massachusetts. And that record came out in 67 or 68.
Right.
I guess a few people know about it. I think Light in the Attic have
good. Yeah, they put out some good reissues. Yeah.
That one we actually recorded at home because we were still like we were 2 songs short.
Okay, well that explains it.
Red Hollywood and Under Skies. We were Britt and I recorded at home. And sent back to Jason, and he played the drums on Under Skies. And it's it's cool little psychedelic track and long guitar solo, one take. I played that. Britta said, "That's it. We don't have to do any more."
And you and Britta are kind of a self-contained unit. On, like, I saw that she edited one of the videos just as much as it was worth.
She did. Yes, she's a lot better at software on the computer than I am. I have no patience for it. She is. So is Justin Harwood too. So there you go. Maybe it's a bass player thing. Maybe they
it's possible.
Yeah. Or I've just not taken an interest on this. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we were lucky too during the whole pandemic that we were two musicians living under one roof, so we actually could live stream shows.
What are those like?
They're weird at first because I mean, I was getting nervous. There's so much can go wrong. You've got the audio interface, and then well, first we just used a laptop camera like I'm doing now, but then we got a little better camera and put it on top, and I don't know.
And of course, with a regular gig, a lot of things go wrong, and you're using, but you have other people helping.
Yes, we didn't really have anyone helping, and then for the last two, we actually had drummer friend Roger came in, and he brought in his mobile recording unit. He did that work. That took some pressure off. But it's just you have got to get used to like performing to the laptop
and deadly silence at the end of the song.
Well, we solved that too. We got a sample of some audience applause, and at the end of the songs, Roger would hit a button and go.
It's like a laugh track.
Yes, yeah. Hey, you saw like some of the talk show hosts did that too. That was interesting to see. Like the late night comedy just did not work without an audience. You know, jokes just fall flat without the audience being told to clap.
They need to know when to clap and when to laugh.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. Yeah. So, do you do many live gigs these days? Well, are you able to? Are you planning to?
We have some Luna shows coming up in November. I think about 6 shows starting in Texas.
Right.
A little nervous about going there.
Yeah.
If we get out, we'll be taking a lot of precautions to get through that tour.
Yep.
And then in January and February, I'm going to play Dean Wareham shows in the UK and Europe.
Right.
That's something twice postponed by the
right. And because of the Brexit thing, does that change the way you have to approach going back and forth, or does it, because you're not English?
It's some extra paperwork for sure. And you know, we're told we can't really take a UK sound. A sound man who lives in the UK is not really supposed to go to. Maybe they'll sort it out for January, or maybe we just put him on the train.
Yeah. So what's the difference between a Dean Wareham show and a Luna show?
Well, it's actually I'm playing. That tour was originally I was going to play a Galaxie 500 album, the On Fire album.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to do that because
which album?
On Fire.
Okay.
So the tickets are sold. I got to do that. But now that I've got this record out, I'm going to play that too. And I think do 2 sets, maybe no opener. Again, for COVID reasons, it's good to have no opener. Just
that's true. Less
people backstage, less interacting with them.
Yeah. And are you thinking musically in terms of what do you want to do next?
No, I'm not. I think, it's interesting. Like sometimes I finish a record, I'm like, this one's getting such good press.
Yeah.
Especially in the UK. Maybe I should just quit now while I'm ahead. Maybe just stop now. But there's another voice saying, no, you should write songs. You must do this. So,
all right. Well, hopefully it won't be another 7 years before you get out together. No. And you can come down to New Zealand sometime soon, maybe when, actually you can come in and the problem is coming in and getting in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yes, that's what stopped me doing it. My parents live in New Zealand, so right. I would like to visit. If they were
you grew up in Wellington, right? Or you were born in Wellington?
Yes, I grew up in Wellington, and then a little 6 months in Auckland, and then we were in Australia for 7 years.
And do people know? Are they curious about your New Zealand roots in LA?
Well, people, I've got an accent that just says nobody can
Yep.
I mean, if I heard this, I wouldn't know where I was from either, because I lived in, New Zealand, Australia, most of my life in New York, but then Boston. And so but I do have a hint of an accent, so people can tell that I'm a foreigner.
Yeah, I have a friend, she's a music teacher, and she moved from Auckland to New York, New Jersey, and I talk to her regularly, and you just like, where are you from? Because certain words are obviously Kiwi pronunciations. Some are New Jersey. It's just a mess.
Yeah, and being here long enough, I would try exaggerate, the R sounds to understand me, and then that started just seeping into the way I would talk.
Yes. Yeah, I'm in the reverse situation here.
Change anything, it's fine.
Thanks. Well, anyway, thanks for talking to me. This is fantastic. Hopefully, we'll get to see you guys. Bring your solo show down here. It'd be awesome.
Yes. Well, yes. When the virus allows it.
Yep.
Get down.
All right. Very good. In the meantime, have a great day, and thank you very much.
Thank you. You too. Bye, Marty.